Your picture of the Middle Ages is mostly movie props. Stay for 39 real daily surprises you were never taught. Plague beak masks? Wrong century. Real medieval doctors look different. People bathed in bustling bathhouses from Paris to Nuremberg steam rooms. Cathedrals blazed with painted saints and many castles gleamed white. Nights split into two sleeps with work and whispers in between. Alewives brewed the beer, while Templars ran Europe's early credit system. No potatoes or tomatoes here. Fasting calendars quietly rewired menus. If that flips your mental map, wait until Case 1. Plague Doctor beak masks weren't medieval, they're 17th century. The famous beaked mask belongs to early modern outbreaks, not medieval Europe. Descriptions in 17th century Italy mention scented beaks and waxed gowns. Physicians like Charles Delorme appear in French accounts of gear. City orders in Rome and Naples regulated plague workers' protective outfits. During the Black Death, people wore hoods, cloaks, and simple face wraps. Engravings later mixed centuries, making medieval scenes look oddly bird-like. Herbs in the beak were meant to filter dangerous miasmas then. The costume also signaled official authority on quarantined streets and alleys. So the spooky mask is Renaissance medicine, not Gothic fantasy. Medieval people knew the Earth was round, not flat. Sailors and scholars in Europe taught a spherical Earth for centuries. University texts copied Aristotle and Ptolemy, complete with globes and diagrams. Writers like Thomas Aquinas treated Earth's curvature as normal background knowledge. Pilgrims and merchants navigated Mediterranean routes assuming predictable horizons daily. The Flat Earth Middle Ages myth bloomed in 19th century culture wars. Strange medieval maps prioritized theology, not coastlines, confusing modern expectations. Armillary spheres and globes sat in libraries at Paris and Oxford. Cathedral schools blended scripture with astronomy, not a cartoonish denial. So the big clash isn't shape, but later storytelling habits. Vikings were surprisingly groomed. Combs, soap, braids, and tweezers. Battle grimes sells, but graves in Scandinavia tell another story. Sites at Birka, Reba, York, and Dublin yield combs and tweezers. English writers complained Norsemen bathed weekly and combed hair carefully. Lye soaps lightened wool and scrubbed skin before feasts and markets. Braids, beard beads, and mustache clips traveled with traders and raiders. Silvered mirrors and carved comb cases show grooming as status performance. In Paris and along the Seine, tidy hair helped diplomacy. Shipboard life demanded routine washing under tarred rigging and sails. Axes mattered, sure, but so did looking respectable when bargaining. Knights Templar ran Europe's earliest ATM, letters of credit. Pilgrims left Paris with money, yet arrived at Acre holding paper. Templar houses tallied deposits, then paid safely across Crusader routes. Networks in London, Marseille, and Jerusalem synchronized ledgers under wax seals. Kings borrowed heavily because these monks ran reliable financial infrastructure. Ciphers, tallies, and counters turned religious trust into working credit lines. Merchants moved silver without hauling chest after chest by road. When the order fell, records revealed astonishing European bookkeeping sophistication. Their system lowered robbery risk on Alpine and Italian passes. Think banking window, guarded by male hauberks and stern administrators. Peasants drank weak ale daily because water was risky. On English and Flemish tables, small beer sat beside pottage. Low alcohol and quick boiling made everyday brewing reasonably safer. Children drank it too, from shared jugs near rye loaves. Harvest contracts even paid workers partly in measured ale allowances. Manor rolls show barrels rotating between brewhouse and field shelter. Wells varied, streams differed. Brewing added calories and predictable routine. Gentry favored stronger ale, while servants wrangled heavy casks. Taverns marked seasons by malt prices and longer sunlight hours. Hydration, wages, and habit met inside those wooden mugs. Public bathhouses thrived. Nobody bathed in medieval times is myth. From Paris to Nuremberg, evening bathhouses hummed with steam and chatter. Hot tubs, sweat rooms, and stalls perched above wood-fired boilers. City bylaws regulated hours, laundry, and rules for mixed bathing. Monasteries scheduled weekly washes for brothers under practical cleanliness guidelines. Later moral worries and epidemics shrank bath culture in places. Still, thermal towns like Baden and Bath kept steady visitors. Merchants sealed deals while attendants rinsed linens in side troughs. Travelers compared water temperatures, like today's online reviews, minus stars. Clean bodies shared air with business, music, and dinner plans. Cathedrals and statues were painted in bold, bright colors. Those stone saints once blazed with reds, blues, and gilded halos. Traces at Chartres, Amiens, and Salisbury confirm layered medieval polychromy. Workshops mixed mineral pigments with egg binders and gold leaf. Festival candles made carved draperies shimmer like moving fabric. Weather-stripped exteriors, sheltered portals kept stubborn flashes of blue. Travelers described dazzling sanctuaries, not cool gray postcard interiors. Modern light shows sometimes project reconstructed colors onto facades. The spectacle feels futuristic, but mirrors period pageantry for congregations. Medieval worship met sound, scent, and color in one place. Many castles were whitewashed. They looked dazzling, not gray. Coastal fortresses in Wales and England wore bright lime-wash coats. Sunlight bounced off walls at Conwy and Dover's outer layers. Lime sealed porous stone, slowing winter drafts and soaking rains. Accounts list annual whitewashing alongside ditch clearing and roof work. Envoys reported gleaming ramparts signaling wealth before parley. Night patrols read moonlight better against paler ramparts and towers. Weathering later exposed rough masonry modern tourists now associate with authenticity. Garrison life expected clean, maintained walls, not romantic, crumbling scenes. Power looked like brightness, not just height and thickness. Curfew bells literally meant cover the fire every night. Evening bells in Norman England warned households to bank embers. The term couvre-feu became curfew in English town records. Officials feared thatched roofs catching fire and racing through markets. People spread ash, shuttered windows, and secured kitchens after ringing. Night Watch listened for crackling beams and raised street alarms. Breaking curfew brought fines, not myths about silencing conversation. Taverns adjusted hours. Bakers staggered dough rising around signals. Winter bells rang earlier as darkness lengthened village routines. Night safety began with smoke control, not patrol swagger. 2 sleeps. People woke between first sleep and second. Before bright lamps, European nights often split into 2 rests. Records describe first sleep, a wakeful interval, then second sleep. Families prayed, talked softly, or tended animals during that pause. Mothers nursed. Millers checked sluices. Monks read brief night offices. Roosters and city bells nudged people back under blankets. The pattern faded as street lighting compressed evenings steadily. Printed advice still referenced segmented nights in early modern guides. Winter stretched the gap. Summer shortened it to whispers. Darkness shaped sleep like bells shaped work and markets. Bread hierarchy. Lords ate fine white, peasants coarser rye. Status hit the table fast, even before household greetings began. Manchet, a fine white loaf, sat near honored guests. Cottars ate maslin, or rye, stretched with bran and peas. Feast leftovers trickled down under strict kitchen distribution rules. Bad harvests made loaves darker, flatter, sometimes mixed with acorns. Millers Reeves and bakers argued tolls and communal oven schedules. Pilgrims softened hard crusts in pottage or watered ale. Town guild loaves carried stamps to deter fraud and short wait. Bread telegraphed rank louder than any embroidered sleeve. Over 140 fasting days quietly shaped medieval European diets. The church calendar rearranged meals more than kings and taxes. Lent, Advent, and weekly fish days limited meat, dairy, and eggs. Cooks leaned on peas, almonds, oil, and salted or fresh fish. River towns prized eels. Coasts stacked herring and cod. Markets surged before fasts, as households stocked permitted ingredients. Dispensations existed for travelers and laborers when work demanded. Spices helped fish feel festive on major feast evenings. Even wealthy tables swapped roasts for stews on schedule. Discipline and appetite kept steady company across the year. No potatoes, tomatoes, or maize in European medieval kitchens. Your medieval stew lacked American crops that arrived much later. Potatoes, tomatoes, maize, and cacao crossed oceans centuries afterward. Fields in France and Germany relied on rye, oats, barley. Turnips, leeks, onions, and cabbage anchored winter pottage reliably. Spices like pepper and saffron traveled through Venetian warehouses. Olives and grapes shaped Mediterranean diets far from potatoes. Kitchen gardens supplied herbs, while orchards delivered apples for cider. Later centuries embraced potatoes as famine hedges after failures. Medieval cooks improvised without ingredients you expect today. Forks arrived late. Knives, spoons, and fingers did fine. Elite Italians adopted table forks earlier than northern households generally. Most diners managed with knives, spoons, bread trenchers, and fingers tidily. Hand-washing bowls and towels stood ready near the high table. Etiquette books urged small bites and quiet, careful chewing. Travelers mocked forks as fussy before copying fashionable courts. By late centuries, forks appear more often among urban elites. Merchants carried folding knives clipped discreetly to belt sheaths. Stews and pottages made spoons the real mealtime heroes. The fork's slow victory followed sauce, not sudden innovation. Linen undergarments aided hygiene. Outer wool garments rarely washed. People changed the washable layer, not the heavy gown or cloak. Linen shirts wicked sweat and survived boiling on wash days. Wool was brushed, aired, and spot-cleaned near warm hearths. Fleecy nap shed rain while protecting dyes and tailoring lines. Household accounts list soap, lye, and fuller's earth for maintenance. Riverbanks hosted beading frames, racks, and busy laundry crews. Scented sachets protected chests from moths and sour dampness. Seasonal wardrobes shifted at fairs selling fresh bolts of linen. Cleanliness meant planning, not endless scrubbing of outerwear. Floors weren't filthy heaps. Fresh rushes and herbs were strewn. Great halls smelled of mint, thyme, and sweet woodruff underfoot. Rushes spread across planks trapped grit and softened winter steps. City rules in London demanded regular changes, avoiding year-old piles. Households layered fresh greens for feasts, then swept ash afterward. Cats, dogs, and spilled ale still kept servants hustling. Winter mud required extra baskets staged near outer doorways. Upper chambers used woven mats or bare boards for cleanliness. Archaeologists find seeds and herbs pressed into old floor layers. Comfort and odor control mattered alongside showy tapestries. Town cesspits and gong farmers powered medieval waste management. Cities dug lined pits, then hired teams to empty them. Gong farmers in England hauled night soil by cart and barge. Contracts specified routes, hours, and dumping sites beyond walls. Tanners and fields sometimes received the mess as fertilizer, cautiously. Council fines targeted clandestine tipping into streams and alleys. Well covers and grates tried separating water from daily filth. Complaints still surged during hot summers around London Bridge. Without these crews, disease and stink would have exploded. Unsung sanitation workers kept crowded markets barely livable. Communal ovens baked bread, firewood and baking time rationed. Many villages used a shared oven called the four banal. Families queued with scored loaves and bundles of paid firewood. Oven wardens scheduled times to preserve heat between batches. Fees funded roof repairs, and the keepers' wages reliably. Festival days squeezed sweet loaves beside everyday rye. Bakers marked tops to avoid mix-ups on crowded stones. Smells drifted across lanes, pulling children toward warm benches. Private ovens existed, yet taxes pushed traffic to communal hearths. Bread Day combined logistics, gossip, and careful timing. Chimneys were rare. Smoke drifted through the Great Hall. Early halls burned central fires beneath a roof louver opening. Smoke curled upward, blackening rafters and seasoning hanging bacon. Side draft hoods and wall vents slowly improved circulation in chambers. True masonry chimneys spread room by room across Europe gradually. Servants slept on lofts warmed by rising heat in winter. Visitors complained about stinging eyes, yet praised cozy corner benches. Soot protected timbers, but demanded scraping during summer maintenance. Once chimneys spread, households gained private rooms and independent heating. Architecture first followed smoke, then fashionable paneling and tapestries. Women brewed most beer. Alewife was a common profession. In English and Low Countries towns, women ran neighborhood brewhouses. Alewives malted barley, boiled wort, and watched fermenting tubs carefully. Tasters checked strength. Church wardens enforced quality and fair measures. Signs hung outside homes announcing fresh ale for sale. Fines punished short pints and overcrowded benches during busy evenings. Seasonal demand spiked during harvests and large religious festivals. As commercial brewing scaled, men increasingly dominated guild structures. Still, records name many women financing kettles and paying taxes. Local economies bubbled thanks to skilled brewers managing yeast. Guild apprentices lived at work under strict house rules. Apprentices slept above shops, learning trade routines by dawn. Masters taught hours, tools, secrets, and seasonal buying strategies. Contracts bound teenagers for years in exchange for training. House rules covered curfews, chores, and behavior at festivals. Journeymen later traveled to broaden skills and gather recommendations. Guild halls managed disputes and protected workshop quality standards. Feast days displayed banners and funded charity for members. City power often negotiated privileges with wealthy guild coalitions. Work felt like family, courtroom, and school under one roof. Pilgrims, peddlers, and traders traveled far more than assumed. Roads filled with badges, samples, and pack animals crossing borders. Routes linked Santiago, Canterbury, Cologne, and Rome through way stations. Monasteries offered beds, while markets offered coin for surplus. Italian merchants carried silk. Hanseatic sailors hauled timber and wax. Royal messengers rode fast, relaying news and taxes between courts. Bandits existed, yet escorts and toll bridges reduced risks. Travel diaries mention weather, bread prices, and multilingual bargaining. Pilgrim badges from England appear in Scandinavian and Baltic finds. Medieval life moved, not just plowed the same field. Market days structured weeks. Church bells governed working hours. Weekly markets set rhythms for villages and small towns regionally. Bells signaled opening, closing, and pauses for services midday. Vendors rented stalls. Reeves measured weights with official standards. Entertainers juggled beside cages of chickens and sheep. Seasonal fairs drew distant traders pushing cloth and spices. Tithes and tolls skimmed coins before families headed home. Curfews and dawn bells shaped bakers' and butchers' schedules precisely. Winter markets shrank. Summer evenings stretched with music. Commerce and worship braided together through sound and habit. Ordeals ended in 1215. Local juries judged your neighbors. Trial by hot iron and water faded after church opposition. In 1215, clerics withdrew support, reshaping European legal practice. Communities increasingly used sworn men to weigh testimony locally. Shire courts and borough courts handled disputes and thefts routinely. Royal justices toured circuits, checking procedures and keeping order. Written rolls captured names, fines, and property transfers carefully. Jury members knew litigants for better clarity or awkward bias. Punishments differed by region, from fines to humiliating stocks. Justice shifted from spectacle toward paperwork and neighbors' voices. Universities exploded. Town and gown street fights were common. New universities sprouted at Paris, Bologna, Oxford, and Salamanca. Students and masters clashed with locals over rents and beer. Charters granted privileges that inflamed tempers on crowded streets. Feuds erupted after tavern arguments, sometimes lasting for days. Authorities shuffled jurisdiction between city hall and university officials. Curricula mixed logic, law, medicine, and theology under heated debate. Graduations paraded gowns, hoods, and noisy processions through markets. Libraries chained books while scribes copied lectures onto parchment. Learning grew fast, and so did the brawls outside. Monasteries ran hospitals, guest houses, and organized poor relief. Monastic houses did more than chant psalms at sunrise. Many ran infirmaries treating travelers, workers, and aging brothers. Guest houses welcomed pilgrims seeking beds near major shrines. Kitchen gardens supplied herbs for broths and simple remedies. Almoners distributed bread and coins on scheduled charity days. Rules balanced prayer, labor, and community service sustainably. Urban priories coordinated care with nearby parish networks. Records list linen, candles, and bed repairs for patients. Holiness included spreadsheets, if parchment counts as spreadsheets. Barber surgeons bled patients. Urine charts guided humoral diagnoses. Medicine leaned on balancing humors rather than germ theory. Barber surgeons pulled teeth, set bones, and performed bloodletting frequently. Physicians examined urine color against painted reference charts. Apothecaries compounded syrups with herbs like fennel and mint. Hospitals focused on care, warmth, and orderly routines. Medical licensing varied by city, guild, and ecclesiastical authority. Arabic texts, translated in Spain, influenced European treatments significantly. Wars produced experience with wounds, arrows, and crude anesthesia. Outcome depended on skill, luck, and clean linens nearby. Many knights fought dismounted. Mounted charges weren't constant. Glorious cavalry runs look good, but battles often dismounted elites. At Crécy and Poitiers, commanders relied on planted infantry lines. Knights secured flanks, while archers and stakes punished reckless charges. Armor suited fighting on foot with poleaxes and shortened lances. Muddy fields in Flanders made horses dangerous, not decisive advantages. Sieges demanded climbing, tunneling, and patient guarding more than galloping. Captains valued discipline and timing over flashy individual heroics. Chroniclers note banners clustered around defensive stands repeatedly. Chivalry adapted to ground, weather, and stubborn hedges. Longbowmen needed lifelong training. Bones show heavy use adaptations. English archers weren't weekend hobbyists carrying tourist bows. Skeletal studies reveal enlarged shoulders from years of practice. Draw weights demanded powerful backs even before battles started. Yeoman laws required regular archery on village greens weekly. Crews planted stakes and timed volleys against charging cavalry. Arrows carried Bodkin points for punching mail and gambeson. Victories like Agincourt rested on mud and routine training. Supply chains hauled spare strings, wax, and bundled shafts. Archery won time. Infantry and commanders sealed outcomes. Bright dyes existed. Poor wore colorful clothes, not brown. Medieval streets weren't sepia, they flashed with saffron and madder. Plant dyes produced yellows, reds, greens, and soft blues. Even modest tunics showed color when budgets allowed careful dyeing. Sumptuary laws targeted luxuries, not every bright hue. Woadvats stained workers' hands in English dye houses. Markets sold patterned cloth beside plain homespun bolts. Festival days unveiled the best cloaks from locked chests. Muck still splashed hems, but villages loved color, sincerely. Brown wasn't poverty's uniform. It was one practical option. Buttons and tailoring transformed European fashion in the 1200s. Small buttons enabled tighter fits and complex tailored shapes. Gores and lacing reshaped gowns and surcoats along seams. Workshops specialized in cutting, stitching, and finishing linings expertly. Metal and cloth buttons traveled in sacks to fairs. Fashion radiated from courts in Paris and Naples outward. Illuminated manuscripts show sleeves narrowing decade by decade. Tailors balanced trendiness against winter warmth and candle budgets. Garments finally hugged bodies instead of hanging like sacks. The silhouette shift shouted modernity without saying a word. Heavy plow and three-field systems supercharged northern agriculture. A new plow bit deep into thick northern soils. Moldboards flipped earth cleanly, helping fields drain and breathe. Villages rotated crops across 3 strips to rest soil. Oats, barley, and legumes shared space season by season. Ox teams hauled iron-shod plows across newly opened land. Granaries filled more predictably than in older 2-field patterns. Population booms followed fuller barns and steadier bread supplies. Parish tithes rose with better yields and livestock health. Technology quietly rewrote dinner tables and winter anxiety. No weekends, but saints' feast days gave many holidays. Work weeks lacked modern Saturdays, yet feast calendars granted breaks. Major saints' days paused markets, court sessions, and plowing schedules. Guilds paraded banners and funded bread, ale, and performances. Pilgrimage fairs combined worship with shopping opportunities annually. Rural households counted rest days by bells and banners. Some regions celebrated extremely often, others more conservatively scheduled. Harvest still overruled calendars when weather demanded sudden labor. Winter allowed longer pauses, storytelling, and tool repairs indoors. Time off arrived irregularly, but not rarely across Europe. Surnames grew from jobs: Smith, Baker, Miller, Cooper, Fletcher. Work followed you straight into your name and legacy. Blacksmiths became smiths. Bread bakers turned into bakers naturally. Millers, Coopers, and Fletchers marked grain, barrels, and arrows. Place names stuck too, birthing hills, brooks, and marshes. Nicknames hardened into legal identities across tax records. Immigrants adapted spellings to local scribes and accents. Families sometimes changed names when trades shifted dramatically. Guild membership could strengthen a surname's prestige in towns. Your job quietly wrote itself onto the family banner. Tally sticks managed taxes. Paperless accounting lasted for centuries. Before spreadsheets, clerks notched willow sticks to track debts. The Exchequer in England split tallies for matching verification. Each half proved amounts when reunited during settlements. Fireplaces guarded piles of records inside stone offices. Merchants also used tallies for local market credit. The system worked because wood couldn't be erased easily. Paper spread slowly. Sticks remained trusted for generations. Occasional blunders, including fires, haunted record keepers nationwide. Numbers lived on wood long before they lived on paper. Bells, candle clocks, and water clocks kept daily time. Monasteries rang offices, while towns rang trade and curfew. Candle clocks marked hours with nails dropping into trays. Water clocks dripped measured time for scholars and magistrates. Sundials handled daylight, shifting with seasons across courtyards. Work changed at bells, not smartphone reminders or pings. Bakers, smiths, and students learned their neighborhood soundscape intimately. Mechanical clocks appeared on towers, chiming across rooftops. Citizens synchronized lunches, prayers, and markets by those tones. Time sounded before it ever glowed from glass. Measures varied by town. A mile wasn't always a mile. Buying cloth or grain meant decoding local measurement languages. An ell in London differed from one in Bruges. Weights shifted by river, guild, and long-standing habit. Travelers carried reference cords or trusted experienced intermediaries. Disputes erupted when merchants crossed borders with assumptions. Authorities posted standards publicly to curb cheating and confusion. Still, markets ran on compromise and mutual reputation. Only later did rulers push unified systems energetically. Medieval trade thrived anyway, arguing its way to fairness. Families shared beds. Curtains added warmth, privacy, and status. Beds hosted parents, children, and sometimes guests during travel. Heavy curtains trapped heat and shielded eyes from hearthlight. Carved frames displayed wealth like furniture billboards inside chambers. Mattresses layered straw, feathers, or wool depending on purse. Bed sharing saved space in crowded timbered houses and inns. Etiquette urged stillness, quiet, and careful nighttime boundaries. Chests at the foot stored linens, blankets, and seasonal clothing. Winter nights made everyone grateful for thick coverlets. Privacy grew with partitions and chimneys in later centuries. Libraries chained books. Rag paper replaced parchment across Europe. Books were precious, so chains kept volumes in place. Reading desks sprouted metal loops and long iron tethers. Scribes copied texts onto parchment from sheep and calf skins. Later, rag-based paper spread from Italian mills northward. Cheaper paper multiplied copies in universities and city schools. Stationers rented books chapter by chapter to students. Illuminators still gilded pages for wealthy monastic patrons. Chains gradually vanished as printing and prices transformed access. Knowledge loosened as pages became easier to make.